No video yet, though, sorry.
Yeah, well done, Vivian.
There is, as you're all aware, a fire at Impala this evening. They are evacuating the Fairfields and Haven Drive. Obviously, it's just something we need to be aware of. We're much lower down, we're a bit further away, but we still need to sort of be aware of that, particularly if smoke blows in this direction.
We're actually evacuating or saying.
I've been told they're evacuating.
I agree.
Is
So-
it just them streets then?
Sorry?
Just those streets?
That's the only information I personally have.
Yeah.
Okay, it just said before, I was just told the fairways, Haven Drive, so I'm afraid I have no other information at all.
No.
With the fire there, obviously, you know, everyone's safe and sound, there's been no injuries there, and, you know, we're very, very grateful for the emergency services, their attendance. So, and as councillor Davis has just been shown, it's quite a, you know, quite a bonfire going on there at the moment, unfortunately. Did you say they're going to go an old tank?
I don't know, I assume it's an old, they are just decommissioning all the crude tanks, and I would have said that, and I know some, take my word for it, but contractors probably set fire to what residual oil is there.
Other news, it sort of fits in mayor's engagements really, so I'll do the two together. I attended check presentation with the round table towards the carnival, and obviously attended the carnival. The feedback has been tremendous for the carnival, with most people saying it's one of the best carnivals I've seen in years. I spoke to the drum major of the marching band from the Art of Light. He said he'd never in all his years experienced the level of community support that he's experienced here. And following on from that, the amount of community people that have sent him videos and pictures of them to say something he's never had before, what a wonderful community we had here, which is, I think, agrees, a wonderful thing to actually hear about our town. Long may it continue.
Yeah.
I'm sure I missed something there, but never mind that. Number 6, councillor engagements and community activities. None?
Mr. Mayor, does attending the carnival, and I was officially asked as a councillor to judge the rainbow reef float, because they had separate awards. I don't know if that counts, does it? Ron asked me as a councillor to judge their float individually, so I don't know if that counts as an attendance.
We'll put down if you were asked to, then
Yeah, I was asked.
did it in official capacity, didn't you? Sorry, councillor Hardfam.
I attended the Vision Arts production of British Empire
Oh,
at
yeah.
the Boulevard. As a town council, we obviously all had invites, and yeah, it was phenomenal. It was really, really good.
I spoke to Tom Dyer afterwards, and he said it'd been an absolute dream to play. He absolutely loved playing Mr. British.
Yeah, he was.
I haven't seen the play, but
It was absolutely brilliant. Yeah, and very well attended. I think there was a sellout every night, so that was.
And they did well in the carnival too, Vision Arts.
Yeah.
They've won by the category, so yeah, well done. Number 7, feedback.
Mr. Mayor, can we call
Oh, sorry, yeah.
can we call a point of order? You've mentioned an evacuation. Can I ask who told you that? Because there's 2 residents who are really concerned about the statement, and there's no basis for that. So I'm wondering where that came from.
Sorry.
When I've got family in Gallagher Road, being a fairways and Haven Drive. So why is in Gallagher Road being?
I had a phone call from another councillor.
It's not an official statement. Can we retract it just to say that we're
No.
not actually aware that there is actually an evacuation going on? Because that is,
I have been informed of that.
okay, but
I do not know whether it's correct, and what I said is we need to be aware of it.
we're not aware from emergency services that there is actually an evacuation going on.
I cannot confirm it 100%, no.
The thing is important just to, not make those kind of statements that are coming from emergency services, because that is quite a serious matter. It's a huge residential area, and which I didn't so. Yeah, it's quite.
I understand, point taken, I'm merely relaying what was told to me from another councillor. Point taken. Number 7, feedback from councillors' representation on outside bodies. Forgive me for just one moment. Oh no, that's right, on the meeting, sorry. No, nothing, nobody's attending meetings on outside bodies as well.
No.
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 Okay. Number 8. Questions without debate pursuant to standing order number 6. Number 6. Number 9, minutes of the meeting with the Milford Haven Town Council, held 22nd of June. Please see attached on page 23.
Oh,
Sorry,
Hang on.
Hang on, yeah. Sorry, Councillor Sharp.
Mr Mayor, if I may through you, Mr Harris, if I can just quote something, just for my own peace of mind, obviously I was at that meeting, but it said here that Mr Harris was asked whether the council could donate 1,000 to a church to enable a disabled bay to be put in. Mr Harris explained that would not be allowed, as the council would be a donation for the church. Well, I got the impression that if we did adopt that policy, that would override if we adopted the EPOC, it would override it, and we could then donate
Wasn't
to
it a
these.
case of in England that's the case, but not here in Wales that they haven't?
You may be
That
correct,
part in
yes.
Wales?
Yes,
And I
perhaps.
think it's something perhaps you just clarify that, please.
No.
It was me that actually raised the point because I said that ramp is a community asset in a sense.
Yeah,
And where does that leave you with a church village hall sort of thing?
yeah, I do now, Mr Mayor, remember him saying something like the rules were different,
England,
weren't they, in
Scotland.
England, to Scotland and Wales? So perhaps you may say, perhaps I'm just getting it totally wrong. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Clarification.
Yeah, but other than that, then I would agree with councillor Davis and move receipt unless there's any other questions.
Any other queries or questions?
I mean,
Sorry, yeah, go ahead, councillor Bridges.
item number 59, we have received a response from the council. The master plan application of the.
I meant to follow that up myself, actually, yes.
Have we received,
Consent.
my understanding of my email was approved at the last.
she was going to get back to me, beginning today, this is the beginning
They
today.
have, yeah.
No, she has completed this week.
Anything else? No? Okay, move the seat, we will move on. Oh, so all those in favour of move the seat?
Correct.
Correct. Planning, number 10, planning and licence matters, please see attached. Most of these are for information only.
Yeah, they're either approved or conditionally approved. Yeah.
My name is Mayor.
Sorry, I beg pardon. Yeah, please.
So obviously in relation, just continue that point, in relation to the application we just mentioned. Which is 250996 PA relating to the Manchester Club. It is currently listed on today's minutes, so it's conditionally approved, but I think it's really important, I think my email is self-explanatory to the local authority. I think it's really important to note that we have been not included in what I believe is the statutory process. ECC are very quick to hold others to account on planning matters. I find it highly irregular and concerning, like this was brushed or was signed by BCC very swiftly, and they admitted that they not included this. I think that sets a very precarious precedent for future applications if this has gone unchecked. But to be very clear, I'm sure the town council would have rejected the application because I don't want to see another empty building. But the fact that we've been negated from seeing anything whatsoever, especially considering the starboard was a matter of contention and was subject to objection.
Yeah.
And they're now looking at potentially, I presume it's a similar property type. I just think the matter is highly irregular and concerning, but the process has not been following, that seemed to be okay and fine, we not. So I think it's very important that we push back on that as a town council. Because if they're going to hold applicants to a certain standard, they should be held to an higher standard of process.
Yep.
And that, as I said, just to clarify, it is not to say that in any way that there's an objection on my part or from anybody that I'm aware of, but we don't know because we haven't been given the opportunity to give comment.
Did you say it now appears on the website or not?
It's on the portal.
It wasn't.
It's on the portal, but it was put onto the portal at the moment. We were made aware of it only via the 10 News Observer news article, at which point you yourself asked me, had I seen that application, at which point I didn't, and I asked the secretary, have we missed it? And we had not. And then the PCC confirmed by the secretary that they had admitted to include us in the consultation process. But I've looked for guidance on this because my understanding is that we are a statutory, that we must be included in that process. So the fact that we've not been included and it's approved, and now they're aware that we've not been included and it's not stopping anything. Does that set a precedent for future applications? I think it does. So it's that concerns me. Not just I think myself, but for the sake of the town council's sort of ability to input applications in the future.
I think as a council, we probably totally all agree with that. There's something wrong with the procedure there. That yes,
what makes it more in my
I
eyes concerning is that the applicant is in fact County Council.
Yes.
And that to me makes it very concerning that it's not even a different or a secondary developer, but it's them themselves doing the bill. So that to me means, you know, something very concerning.
And I can vouch for the fact that it certainly was not on the portal, because that's why I contacted you on the day to say, had you seen it, because I couldn't find it on their portal or our records.
Well, so in playing fair, and I apologise because I see council one of the boys, but just to play fair on that point, I mean, from what I could see when the report was made aware to me, they did have the relevant documents on it and the timeline having it. They did include other consultees, such as the fire service and others that were on the list, but not us. So I'm not saying that the entire process was broken, but they were very clear that they forgot to in the consultation process. So as I said, I think it's very concerning, especially
okay, Councillor Woodham.
I just want to confirm, Mr. Mayor, the letter that went to Pembrokeshire County Council after the last full council meeting was supposed to address all the points that Councillor Bridges had raised in the email. So that has happened because that was asking for an explanation to us. Right. So what I'm again then assuming that that is what has happened and we're waiting for that response, which the clerk has confirmed. Am I right in thinking that this report now, which has the conditional approval on, that was happened on the 15th of June, that's when we became aware that this application had been approved. So this is reporting what happened that led to that letter having been raised. So the council has conditionally approved it. We've then challenged it. And we're waiting for the outcome of that. So I don't think there's anything more that we can do because that is that situation. And it's only when we get the response from PCC will we then be able to know what the next steps are. Because if they say that they're not prepared to revisit that planning application, then we probably do have a serious problem that we'll need to take advice on from someone like One Voice Wales. But at the moment, I think we have done as much as we possibly can to put PCC on notice as to those concerns. And again, I'm relying on my memory, but I think everything that Councillor Bridges raised was agreed to be incorporated in that letter.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes, there was something. Stevens.
Is it possible just to ask someone by someone from God's Wales in case that does happen and we're all the ahead of that in the case of another?
I think we need to see the responses first, don't we? Because until we know what their response is, we don't know how to proceed. If they say they're going to withdraw it and consult with us, then that negates all of that. But on the other hand, they just sorry.
But if they don't,
and if they don't, then we're going to have to.
We're going to have to.
Absolutely.
Can we not sort of get a rough idea of what we can do if they decide not to get in contact with us and crack on with what they're planning to do without consulting us? Anyway, but just in case.
This week she responded. That's what was up last week.
Okay, we will get a response this week anyway, in theory. Is it feasible to contact One Voice at this stage?
What we can do is send them a letter that we sent to PCC and we are waiting for the response. So I don't.
By me,
We'll send a copy of the letter to One Voice Wales that councillor Bridges drafted. And we'll put the two together so when we get replies back. Sorry, councillor Bridges.
sorry, if I can say, just to apologise if I sort of run over again what I said in the letter, just because I was present at the last meeting, I thought it important to say what I, but it's thinking. But I do think it's important and relevant to the response to PCC that we get a firm actual answer on whether or not we are a statutory consultee within the process are relevant to this application, because I've tried to find the legal answer to that question and I can't, because it seems to be grey. Now, my understanding is that we are, but from what I've read, PC can do what they want. so basically, it's I'm a little bit concerned by the topic in question, because whether it does come back with whatever answer may appear, we've then got to, I don't think anybody wants to stand in for the planning application, but it's the principle of it, I suppose, is the basis. But it would be very handy to know in advance if we are actually. It is a legal matter that we have to be included, so that, when we have the response, at least we're for how we wish to deal with it at the next meeting. But no, there's nothing further to add, and apologies if I delayed that point.
I did start to look this up myself actually, and I got a bit confused myself trying to go through it. I think it's something we need clarification on. Are we a statutory body? And if so, what are the responsibilities from both sides relating to that? What our responsibilities and PC's responsibilities are on that. So perhaps I'll ask Alan Clark to investigate further, please. No, thank you.
I'm going to just finish on one point, and as contribution to me say it anyway. But I think it's very important to remember that the applicant is in fact Pembrokeshire Council. So I'm sorry to say that I'm not.
From a public perception, it's not very good.
I think that we need to be very careful about the guidance and or answer that we receive from Pembrokeshire Council as a result, because it is in fact their application, so they have a conflict of interest. So having any response on that from them as gospel is to my effect.
I think if we do
our Voice Wales guidance in advance, I think would be good practice.
I think we'll look into this and we'll bring it up as soon as we get a response at the next, for the next meeting. We'll revisit this and see what the responses are and the advice from One Voice Wales, and try and look into the statutory obligations a little bit more, because I agree with you. I looked, I couldn't quite work out if we were or not on exactly what the responsibilities were. I don't know. Open this up for Councillor Woodham. You have no idea or experience on this.
I always was under the impression that town councils and community councils were statutory consultees. So it's concerning if that isn't clearly identified that is the case, and something has obviously gone wrong with this application, and you can't help but wonder what is going on when the applicant is PCC. What may be helpful, Mr. Mayor, if Councillor Stevens wants to make a formal recommendation that the clerk investigates with One Voice Wales what the position is of the town council as a statutory consultee, and that will then formalise it for going into the minutes and a proper recommendation, rather than just informally asking the clerk to do it. But that's if Councillor Stevens wants to do that. Just so that we get our procedures right, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Stevens, sorry.
What was that?
In which case, Councillor Stevens has made a proposal that we contact One Voice Wales and seek clarification. Perhaps we can combine on statutory requirements into that same request. Then can we? Yes,
because I don't think that wasn't in Councillor Bridges' original email, was it? So that wouldn't have been captured in the letter that we approved at the last meeting. So
I guess I've just made an amendment to.
Now, I'm sure Councillor Stevens is happy to incorporate that into her original proposal.
Will we have a second?
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's my favourite.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
Get there in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else on the planning applications and licensing application. Moving on, sorry, I'm stuck with Number 11, home for the town council, please see attached. So this was in response to the last meeting we had, where it was decided we would do some form of survey. Councillor Hartefelt and the town secretary have both put forward proposals, which obviously we need to debate. So I will open up the floor for debate. Councillor Bridges.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I hope you don't mind, but in preparation of this, because this has been a matter of debate now for quite some time. So I didn't intend to attend tonight's meeting, so I did send a statement in advance, but I'm here, so I will ask that I can read it out, but rather than do it from verbatim, we will actually read out the opening. I've got no doubt in my mind that those supporting the proposal for us to move to another premises, doing so with the right considerations. But my principal concern is there's no evidence being presented to demonstrate there's actually an existing problem which requires a solution. To my knowledge, there's been no documented demand from residents suggesting they're unable to access the town council, meet with councillors or engage with council officers. Likewise, I am unaware of any pattern of complaints indicating that our current arrangements are failing the community. If a resident wishes to meet with a councillor, there are already numerous practical options available. Councillors can regularly do meet with residents in mutually convenient locations, including local cafes, community venues, or where appropriate, residents' homes. I therefore struggle to identify any evidence of accessibility currently preventing residents from engaging with the town council. Furthermore, our current offices are located at the cemetery, which remains our principal responsibility financially. Whilst the office may not be situated in the town centre, it is entirely appropriate that it is based alongside one of the council's core operational functions. And the clerk, to my understanding, has offered to move the office downstairs for anybody with accessibility issues. Before committing public money to acquiring additional premises, I believe we should first ask the simple fundamental question: what problem are we trying to solve? And what evidence demonstrates there is a problem that actually exists? At present, I don't believe there's any evidence that's been presented. I also understand that it has been suggested the town council should undertake a public opinion poll on its social media channels to ask residents whether they support the council having premises within the town centre. In principle, I fully support consulting our residents, as I have advocated for this in the past. However, I believe any consultation undertaken by this council must be fair, balanced and transparent. It has been suggested that the financial implications of such a proposal should not be included in the consultation at this stage, on the basis that doing so may influence people's responses. I respectfully disagree entirely. If residents are being asked for their views, they are entitled to receive all the relevant information before forming those views. Asking whether people like a more accessible town centre office, whilst admitting the fact such a proposal would inevitably create ongoing costs through rent, utilities, insurance, maintenance and other associated expenditure, risks presenting only one side of the proposal. And furthermore, causing potential expectation and disappointment when it is at a later stage not agreed the cost can be approved. Those costs would ultimately be funded by the people of Milford Haven Town through the town council's budget and potentially through future increases to the precept. In my opinion, a consultation which highlights only the potential benefits without also explaining the financial implications would not allow residents to make a fully informed decision. If we are to consult the public, then we owe them complete transparency from the outset. They should be given both the advantages and the costs, allowing them to decide whether they believe the benefit justifies the expenditure. My second concern is therefore one of financial responsibility. Every pound the town council spends is public money, not our own. And at a time when many households continue to experience significant financial pressures and rising living costs, I believe we have a duty to exercise great caution before committing residents to additional ongoing expenditure. Office space in the marina has been
Sorry, councillor Bridges.
Oh, so we've got councillor Stevens on Zoom.
She's got the news on.
I think so. I'm sorry about that. I've just muted councillor Stevens. Sorry, councillor Stevens. Sorry, councillor Bridges. Sorry,
Taking
everybody.
office accommodation within the marina, potentially, would create recurring financial commitments for many years to come, and I'm aware other venues are being proposed and considered. Those costs will inevitably reduce the funding available for other projects or place further pressure on future presets. Personally, I believe residents would much rather see any available funds invested directly into services and facilities which provide a clear and measurable benefit to the community, whether that be improvements to community assets, grants for local organisations, enhancements to public spaces, or projects that visibly improve Milford Haven. I believe those represent a significantly better use of limited public funds, and acquiring office accommodation, for which there is currently no evidence public demand. Good governance requires us to distinguish between what we would see as desirable and what is demonstrably necessary. In my view, no compelling business case has yet been presented that demonstrates this proposal would provide sufficient public benefit to justify its ongoing costs. Should future evidence demonstrate a genuine need, which doesn't seem to exist at this stage, supported by a meaningful public consultation, a robust business case and clear evidence that the benefit that only financial burden placed upon taxpayers, then I'd be more than willing to reconsider my position. However, until that evidence exists, I cannot support committing the town council to additional expenditure that may ultimately increase the financial burden on residents we are meant to serve. For those reasons, I respectfully oppose the proposal in its current form, and I therefore recommend that we as a town council refrain from public consultation on this matter. Furthermore, I would like to make it clear as a matter of public record, and I'm highly disappointed that following myself passing my apologies for this meeting and typing this statement well in advance, that the current mayor made the matter of including my opinion difficult, and I found the behaviour obstructive and biased, as I know his opinion on mine differs from my own. To the point it was proposed earlier today to defer this agenda item entirely. I find the matter greatly concerning, which I will raise separately and in the proper way. Thank you for taking the time to listen, and that's my comment.
I'll just a couple of things. First of all, Councillor Bridges, I think you may have genuinely misunderstood one bit. The proposal to move down to the marina, I believe, am I correct in saying that this was due to the estates meeting that was held? It was an agenda item on there.
There's no misunderstanding. It's a general principle that we're looking at alternative venues to meet the office to. But yes, you are correct that one of the proposed options is an office on the marina, but the principle is the same. Any proposed office space.
I'm not going to argue the principle at the moment, because I don't feel it's my place to. I just want to clarify there are no plans to move down to the marina, and that heading on the estates meeting appears there at most meetings. It's purely a list of properties that we could consider. So I just want to make that point clear. It's not a
It's the whole discussion principle.
I understand that. This is a discussion about the survey as such, and what should the survey say? Should it go ahead? I will briefly and only briefly address your any comments. The reason for deferring it or suggesting deferral this afternoon was so we could all seek more clarification. Having heard from One Voice Wales this afternoon, it is it would be highly unusual for your letter to have been read out during a meeting. There is no legal obstruction to it, but it sets precedents that would need to be clarified and set, which is the very reason I wanted to get more clarification on this. I'm very happy to show you the email after the meeting from One Voice Wales clarifying that. But that's the reason why. Let's open up for debate within. Let's try and keep it within reason to sort of, do we need to survey? If we do, what's going to go into it? And that's not trying to shut down.
Just to be clear, I'm sorry, Councillor, just to be clear, because I won't go into the points. That's fine. But my proposal is that we do not move forward with the survey for the reasons that I've mentioned. Just to be clear, that's why I'm here tonight, to make sure that that proposal was put forward. As stated, I do fundamentally disagree that any councillor not putting in a written statement on their opinion on a matter in advance of a meeting should not be included. It is highly frustrating that currently I'm meant to be on the M4 corridor, but rather than the entire agenda item deferred and wasting other councillors' valuable time, I came along to read it and I will leave later. But that seems to be a bit nonsensical when you yourself made a statement recently about the taking process, when there is, as you correctly stated, and I did check, no legal boundary for that to occur, but the council may not vote in their absence. So we can respectfully disagree on that point, as you've made yours, but that's what, my retort to it. But my proposal is that we, based on what I just said, that we do not move forward with a public consultation, and to put it politely, I know it's been suggested, what's been suggested in this matter, I understand people are doing so with what they feel is the right intentions. However, I've never hidden from the fact that I believe that we have a very hard financial responsibility the way we sit. We've already taken on a burden with the library and the RAF issue, which increased the precept. I can only see those kind of demands increasing as time goes on. PCC may put more burden on us to keep public services open. And then the question I ask myself is, are we getting value for money by moving to another office where currently, from previous meetings, I've asked the clerk and the secretary, is there a problem? On record, no, there is not, as far as they are aware. I, as a councillor, certainly have not received any complaints from residents ever that they cannot access us. Our main financial responsibility is the cemetery. And from what I've understood from conversations with the clerk, whether she'd agree, is the main volume of inquiries they now receive are related to death, cemetery, and so on, and people coming to see them about that kind of matter.
We do get them coming in for signing of documentation.
Yes, and signing of documentation much longer. But no, we aren't aware of any problem that we're solving apart from a desirable matter of moving back. Because I agree, us losing the town hall was very unfortunate. It was unfortunate, and I'm very sorry. I was there when it happened. I remember how upset Eric was when it happened. But that wasn't our decision.
Trying to stifle you now, but please just draw your argument to a close, because otherwise I'm not trying to stifle you, Councillor Bishop, I'm genuinely not.
But that's the reality that we live in, and the reality is to move to another office premises when we currently own one, where we then have to pay an additional cost and keep retaining that premises and the dwelling cost, when there's no problem that we seem to be solving by doing so, when that money could be used for what I'm sure the majority of the public will see as more important issues. That is why I'm fighting so eloquently, I hope, on the counter argument against it.
Okay.
Because I believe by putting a public statement out now, even with a survey that gauges people's feelings, will inevitably give them expectations that may down the road then be deflated, which will then bring more backlash on us because we haven't followed through with a potential promise that we can't fund. So if we are going to do it, then I would insist that it includes the financial repercussions of it. I would prefer, and I'm proposing that we do not go forward with a public consultation at this time.
Can I just confer on something here? Councillor Bridges has made a proposal. Do we now need to have a second?
No, but this is my point of order.
Okay, so
I wanted to let Councillor Bridges, no, it's fine. I wanted to let Councillor Bridges say it, because I don't disagree with what he's saying, but the point of order is, section 7 of standing orders. A decision was taken, first of all, at the Estates Working Group, which came to the last full council, where the recommendation was approved to go out to consultation in the form of a survey. And the second part of that recommendation, again, I'm relying on my memory now, was that all councillors would be asked to give their contributions as to what that survey should be before it then would be put out on Facebook, I think it actually said, or social media. And that's what we've got in this pack today. So I don't think Councillor Bridges can actually move to change that recommendation, because it's within 6 months, which is what clause 7 is of standing orders. You can't go against it, you can't change a decision of council within 6 months. And I think what the standing orders here, except either by a special motion which requires written notice by at least 5 councillors to be given to the proper officer. So I think procedurally it can happen, but it can't just be moved tonight. But that's not to say what Councillor Bridges doesn't have merit, but it's gone through the process and we've got to the point of tonight we should be looking at what that survey is and agreeing what the questions are that go out. So that is my understanding, but if the clerk or yourself, Mr. Mayor, have a different interpretation, obviously you could look at that, but that's just trying to make sure that whatever we do procedurally is we're following our own standing orders.
I'll just bear with just one moment.
That's.
It wasn't approved at a full council or the minutes and the recommendations are acceptable at full council.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, that apparently we want lights on, we might know what they are.
Oh, well, sorry.
Sorry, Mr Mayor.
Thought we evacuated for a minute.
Sorry,
That could be
my
like.
apologies.
So I don't know which way you want to handle this, Mr. Mayor, because I don't think our rules allow that. But then it leaves us in a scenario with what do we do tonight? Because we are supposed to be looking at that recommendation that was approved at the last full council, which is what the report is in our pack, which has councillor Hartevelt and your comments in. And I'm sure I had some questions to ask, and there could be the debate on that anyway. So we may actually, through that debate, decide that we're not yet at a place where we can actually agree what that survey should be, and that might be the way forward. So that defers it, and then that would give councillors an opportunity, if they want to put in the proper notice, to overturn the decision to do it that way, is all I can suggest at this point. But I don't know what the other points of the councillors would want to raise about the substantive issue tonight, which is the questions to go out in the form of the survey.
Okay, I'm just going to hold it there for a moment. Councillor Sharp.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. If I'm perfectly honest, I don't disagree with a lot of what councillor Bridges has said, to be honest with you. However, I am then looking at the same factor that we said at the last meeting, that basically we approved that we would put a survey out. I also don't disagree with councillor Bridges saying that he's not aware of any problems or issues. But isn't that the whole point of a survey? Just because we're not aware of these things, you know, some people may not have mentioned it, but they may be sitting in their house thinking, well, I don't know, you know, I mean, I have a lot of people come up to me and they don't even know who their town councillor is, you know, and things like that. I know that's slightly deviating from the point, but what I'm saying is, how many people are aware that Milford Haven Town Council? And what I was actually going to say, obviously I appreciate what councillor Bridges is saying, I was actually going to say that I'm very much against the survey 1 option and 2 option, and that's no disrespect to who's ever produced that. And I was actually going to sort of say to councillor Hartevelt that she should be praised for the extended bit of the other bits of survey, which at least give us an idea on what we can work on, because I think there's far more better questions with tick boxes, etc. But I personally believe that that's what we're here for. We're not looking at purchasing anything at the moment. We're not looking at moving. That's how I understand it. And if I am wrong, I'm happily corrected. I thought we was merely looking at this stage to see if there is concerns about where we're located and if there is any problems that we're not aware of. Now, councillor Bridges is right again. By doing this survey, are you opening up a can of worms? But isn't it far better to ask the people of the town than to totally ignore them? I don't know.
Certainly, on one of my amendments, I've said that the wording should change to make it clear this is part of a long-term planning strategy. So it's not like we're, you know, we're stressing moving overnight anyway. But councillor, I will come to you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Hartevelt.
What I was going to say was, I mean, we could change, it's not a consultation, it's an exploratory questionnaire, just to find out, as councillor Bridges has said, he doesn't know of any. But then, so people can tell us, if you're exploring, you're not really consulting, you're just exploring, you're asking open, well, close-ended questions, you're not offering anything, you're just exploring to get people's opinions.
Deputy Mayor.
Yay. Yeah, I was under the understanding after the previous meeting, and we did the improvement or whatever it was called,
that we would be discussing tonight, the content. What would be in the content, not what, are we gonna buy anything, or are we gonna sell it? The content of what do we want to know from our residents who live in all our different wards and north, south, east and west. Not just one generic question, but explore what do we need to ask them? That's what I assumed we were doing tonight, was discussing the content, what do we want to gain out of it?
Okay,
What information do we want?
I'll come back to you in just a moment, councillor, but just councillor Jones.
Look at your WhatsApp,
Look at my what, sorry?
look at your WhatsApp. Do
Oh,
you,
right,
do you remember, me saying ages ago, I tried to put a questionnaire together? And it was just. Okay, it was, you know, going down my weird route. But a lot of the questions were, what is needed in Milford Haven? What do you think's missing? What do you think we're doing really well at? What do you think, what are you proud of? What are you not proud of? Do you know what I mean? And something like that, but including a home for the town council. Do you know what I mean? Because that wasn't actually one of my questions, because, you know, it wasn't on my mind at the time. I was on that festival, but there we are. But do you know what I mean? Maybe use the questionnaire, you saw it, didn't you? I'm sure I gave you a couple of questionnaire, but maybe make it a hell of a lot shorter.
I'm in favour of a general survey, but that's not what we're discussing tonight, with every due respect. So I understand what you're saying and I understand the points you're making, and they're valid points. Come on, I'll let you respond. Go on.
But is it worth asking one question and getting people involved when you could ask 5 questions and actually find out a hell of a lot more?
I think that's going to come down to a debate on the content of the questionnaire. So, councillor Bridges, quick response?
Yeah, of course. First of all, well, just because I can.
Sorry?
First of all, I think all the woman said, procedurally is correct, so I mean, I take that on board and I retract my proposal accordingly. But and that being said, I will now make a proposal based on what's in front of us. Now, I actually appreciate that Councillor Arbell has taken the time to write these questions. As I said, I'm not doubting the motive, but I've made my position on the finances a bit clear. So based on that, this is what I would suggest, to see what other councillors will believe. I just think we should remove anything from the question that implies there is an option we can or will move, and just seek. So there's some good questions on here. So were you aware of Milford Council is currently based at Cemetery Lodge? That's fine. It's an informative question. Have you ever visited the town council offices? Yes or no? Again, informative, not informed. Do you feel the current location is easy to access? Fine. How important is it to you the town council is based in the town centre? Okay, that one I would tweak, because it implies that we could move. So I would reword it and say, how important is it to you where the town council is based? Just the question itself, because you might find that people will go very important, they're not important at all, they don't care. So again, it answers the question, but doesn't imply a potential move. Which factors are most important to the town council should be accessed? Again, there's nothing wrong with that, because that's again interesting feedback to have. The number 6, do you think the town council should explore in the location that could provide improved? Right, again, I would remove that then at this stage, because we're just wanting to see how people feel about the current location of previously. So I would just suggest that we do not dangle a carrot in front of the donkey, swing it in any capacity, and then tell people down the line that the carrot costs £10. You know, it's, to use an analogy, you know, I just don't like the, you know, the premise that we, because I really don't think when it came, if it came to it, that a vote for it would, well, I'm just speaking my mind here, but obviously I don't, as I've said, I don't think the financial argument stacks up at the moment. And I have said multiple times on record, if we were going to make long-term plans for a purpose-built union that was financially self-sustaining, and we were, you know, had a business plan to then take burden off the taxpayer, I'd be 100% behind that. I think it's a good long-term plan. But at the moment, just moving of location, I am very much against it because of the finances that it will incur, and therefore the landlord and the taxpayer. So I think, yes, these questions, you know, in principle are fine if tweaked. So, because it does inform the answers that apparently we're trying to get, which is our people caring enough.
Yeah.
I think, sorry, just to come back at you here, I think that, not clear on there actually, someone, the amendment doesn't actually show, but I have actually stated on there. That it is part of the long-term strategy. I wish we could move overnight. I don't think so. Could happen for a few years yet, but that's one of the amendments should be listed on there. That the wording says part of a long-term strategy. I also totally personally agree that we should have some reference to there being the possibility of a cost if we move. What we have to be careful of here is we don't swing it too far the other way, and then we put a balanced question in there that makes it clear there may well be a cost implication in the future, but on essentially we don't want to say it's going to be £500,000 because let's be honest, this is going to be a few years away and we really don't have a clue on that. So this is part of a strategy, and that's the point. Councillor Hartfeld.
Just on your point of saying that there will be a possibility of an increase in your council tax. If it's an exploratory questionnaire, then you're asking them for their opinions. You're not saying if we move. So if we're taking out the consideration that says, that we're implying we're moving, then there's no reason for us to say there'll be a cost if we move. Because we're not saying that, we're asking people what they want. We're exploring their opinions, not saying this is a proposal, it's going to cost this or it could cost this. We're just asking them, how do you feel? What do you want? So otherwise you're introducing a bias from the start again. If it's going to be totally transparent and independent, then there shouldn't be either way. This is a good idea, this is a bad idea. There shouldn't be.
Okay, Councillor Rich, can I just clarify something? I know you wanted question 4 amended as to whether town council is based in, should be based in town centre. What was the other question, please, you wanted amended or statement you wanted amended? Was it the number 6? Do you think town council should explore alternative locations if they improve accessibility? Or was it that one? Sorry.
Just to be clear, so our current issue is we're trying to understand if there's a problem that exists. Am I right? Councillor Sharp just legally said to this question is designed to capture the feelings to find out if there's a problem that needs solving.
I personally disagree with that. I thought this was just purely a general questionnaire about what the public felt about the locations of the town council. That's how I understood it. And certainly, if I'm wrong on that, I'm quite willing to be corrected on it.
So the current location, are we? This is what I'm trying to understand because it's. Are we trying to ask the public if they got a problem with how things are?
No, we're saying what we can see as
presenting
part of our long-term strategy, we considered moving. So it's not. It's future planning, literally. So I'm not ignoring it. I think Councillor Sharp was next, actually.
Yeah, I'm kind of singing from the same hymn book as Councillor Bridges, in the fact that I think what would be better is if 4 was worded something like, how important is it to you that the location of the town council or where the location of the town council is? Don't have to put based within the town centre.
No, I've crossed that out to where base, basically.
2 don't actually disagree with getting rid of question 6. Do you think the town council should explore alternative locations if they provide improvement? Because all I'm trying to say is, at this point, we need to know what the people are thinking. We need to know, do they know where we are? We need to know, have you ever visited the offices? Do you find it easy to access? Are you happy with where it is at the moment? And question 5, I think we need to know all those and give them a space to write whatever they feel. But I mean, we've even talked about things about building on the new cemetery in the future years, admittingly that's years away. But this is just asking people their opinion, isn't it? So I don't disagree that question 6 should go, because in a way, again, it's implying that we are going to be moving. And I just think there is a slight rewording, as Councillor Bridges says, on question 4. Other than that, I think everything's perfect. But again, that's only my personal opinion.
Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I tend to agree because I can't see any reason why we would want to put a suggestion out there that, oh, you obviously are not with that, you're all saying that we are not, we know that they're not happy, but we don't know that. Nobody knows that.
No,
People out there are not happy where we are.
so I missed the point there, sorry.
I'm saying, well, why are you're asking them? Or basically telling them, oh, well, you might not be happy, so we could move. Well, no.
No, sorry, I
Yeah, no.
appreciate I may be interrupting here. This goes partly both.
Yeah.
My point is, if that questionnaire went out and everybody says, oh, well, don't, quite happy with it being where it is and everything, and yes, we are aware and everything, then we don't have a problem, do we?
No, right,
But
I agree.
I don't know if we do, and I don't disagree with councillor Bridges saying he's not aware, and to be honest with you, I'm not aware, but then that doesn't mean people aren't talking amongst themselves, it's just that I'm not aware, and this gives us the opportunity to see if they are aware where we are. Because, I know so many people don't even know what the wards are, who their councillors are, etc.
I think it's-
So do they even know where we are now? Because people don't really understand why we're not in the town council, in the town hall.
I'm coming to councillor in just a moment.
Sorry,
I
I'm
think
coming to that.
councillor Hartman was next, actually, so.
I was just going to agree that. So my point was, we don't need to tell them there's going to be an increase. If number 6 is taken away, then that negates the reason then for saying that there's potential increase, because this is purely then asking their opinions. We're not stating anything at all, so there's no reason to bring that up.
Okay.
And I agree, could be reworded. It's designed to be a completely impartial either way, and
It has to be.
and as councillor Sharp just said, then we may not have a problem, no, we're not, then that can be put to bed. But at least then we know we can't decide within this room that we agree or we don't agree. We're custodians of public funds for the community, so we need to get the community feedback.
Yeah.
On how we move forward with this or don't move forward.
Councillor Wood.
I've gone on to the town council website and I've got the minutes of the 8th of June estate subcommittee in front of me, just to try to work out what the focus of what was approved at the last full council. So the recommendation itself isn't too helpful, because what that actually says is a public survey consultation be drafted for councillor approval on whether the town council need a home within the town of Milford Haven. So that is what we approved as a full council. When you look at the narrative above it, that sort of adds some more clarity to it, where it says that the search for a home for the town council has been ongoing since leaving the old town hall. Councillor views were divided, with some members arguing no strong business case for moving office space, while others concerned about community accessibility and the lack of a permanent town centre base. So I believe it's that is what's led to that survey being drafted the way it's been drafted, but the recommendation sort of doesn't make it explicit, because the town council office is within the town of Milford Haven. I think it was more about whether it should move more away from the cemetery because of where the cemetery is located. So my point, after saying all that, Mr. Mayor, is whether we are able to agree a form of wording tonight for the survey that allows that option to be explored as to whether people feel the town council building being in the cemetery is appropriate, or if alternatives should be looked at. Seems to be the simplest way of progressing it, and what councillor Bridges was saying does seem to fit that, and what other councillors have said does seem to fit that. So I think we just need to try to comply with what we've approved that we would do in the form of a survey, and then that just allows us the next step then to see what the survey is. It's just a survey, it's not a referendum or anything. It's a survey just to gauge what the public perception is, and if everyone's happy with Cemetery Lodge, then that in theory is the end of the matter. That will go back to the estates group with those results of that survey, and then the bigger debate could then happen, subject to what that survey says, but I'm just trying to find a way forward, Mr Mayor, for everybody
There
that
seems to be,
complies with the recommendation, but addresses the important points that have been made.
there seems to be a general consensus at this stage that question 6 should be removed and question 4 be reworded. Councillor Bridges.
I'm just going to say this, though, based on what I've listened to everybody, I believe I'm fair to say it, but I'm happy to recommend that we accept the question in its form if question 4, as the bit is based within the town centre, is removed. So it just says how important is it to the where the town council is based.
Yeah.
And we're going to look at question 6, and
Yeah.
we're then the rest of it, and I'm perfectly happy for it to go out because it doesn't imply anything, it doesn't.
Councillor Bridges wants to
Capture the
put that as a
information.
recommendation, I would say.
Question 5 has been amended as well.
So I am happy to recommend that, and councillor Hart, the sharp is happy to second it.
The, sorry, councillor Davis has just said councillor, there's not actually, what Madam Secretary has done, is put my suggested amendments at the bottom at the end. They were actually on the individual questions. So the meeting facilities, which is mentioned somewhere, I suggested it makes it clear it's suitable for both public and council use. So I didn't really want to think it's just going to be a meeting office for the council or nothing else. That's why the amendments which I suggested. Value for money, I question that because I'm not sure about this one because we should be considering that anyway, as Councillor Bridges quite correctly says. And public perceptions will vary enormously on value for money. Okay. So those are recommendations that I made, which will, I guess, because they've been included, we're going to have to include those in it. I think Councillor Sharp's first to start.
Sorry. Well, I actually, now thinking about it, I think meeting facilities and value for money should be taken out because of the fact that we are asking, are they happy with where the place is at the moment? And also, value for money is open up to any abuse, isn't it? What value for money? Where we're located? Is the town council value for money? I think that is opening up a huge can of worms. No disrespect, Councillor Hartwell,
No.
putting that in, because I think, as I say, it's a brilliant survey. But I'm just literally just going through my mind now. What does value for money mean?
Yeah.
Is it the council? Is it the location? You know, so I would actually recommend that meeting facilities is removed and value for money is removed.
Okay.
So if Councillor Bridges would be happy to,
It's already in your amendment.
It is, yeah, but they're in my amendment, yes.
yeah,
Councillor Hartfeld, because you dropped.
I was just going to second your amendment because I do think that value for money be removed because we've already said we're removing anything to do with any finances, so that should be completely removed because it is only exploratory. And the meeting facilities, I'm on the fence with that one. But because again, it could be, you know, if we got this, it's for public benefit, but we are just gauging their reaction. So I do agree that that probably should be taken out at this stage as well. Because we might not be in a position that we need to move any further with exploring it after the results. So yeah, I agree they should be taken out.
Councillor Stevens.
sorry.
No, go on, Councillor.
I was just going to say if Councillor Bridges was happy, if he's happy to have those two removed from 5, getting rid of 6 and rewording 4. I think he's done a proposal. I'd happily second it, but I don't know.
Just gonna add, we've got number 5, which is public transport links. There are no transport links to the centre yacht.
Yes, there is now.
There is now.
Is there?
The
There's no
road,
bus stop.
the road, there is a bus stop in the lake, there's a lake. You can come in before, you know, the big main gates there, and the stonemason
Yeah,
there.
the bus doesn't go there.
Bus didn't go.
The new bus is gonna go.
They go round the centre that way instead of go down
It'll go down
Stegan.
Thornton Road.
Yeah.
It's called, no, trying to think of the name. Flexi. Flexi, yeah, so that's exactly that.
That's
Sorry, that's
the man,
that's
that's isn't it?
That's all that needs to be booked in advance.
Yeah.
People in certain spots, yeah, that's not a public. Unless, but it's not like another 302, the one from Milford to Hartford, right?
But that's something we can't control.
Yeah.
If I may, to your point, if you keep it included and then.
Then you might have bus.
If people all take public transport links,
More
we are then aware that there's a problem, because if there are none, then we are aware there's a problem.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If nobody ticks it, then obviously there's not a problem, but,
Yeah, I agree.
It would no trust. It's the only reason.
Okay. Let's just go back a stage here for a moment. Let's just have a general recap. Questions 1, 2 and 3, we're all generally happy with.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no objections. Question 4 has been reworded in such a way that basically says how important is to where the town council is located.
Yeah.
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 We can play about some word and team.
Yeah.
Question 5, take out meeting facilities and value for money.
Yeah.
And do away with question 6 altogether.
Yeah.
That's my amendments anyway. I also personally think we need to make it clear that this is a long-term strategy and not an overnight plan, because it isn't. I've got to come back to council, but just because obviously to a certain extent you start off the debate.
So if we do them set, please use the space to share any comments to share. How are we putting this out? Because if it's a poll like we did on Facebook last time, then that doesn't allow that facility that I'm aware of. Are we putting it out?
Madam Secretary.
Right, I assume it'll be like the library survey, but that's a good question, actually. I mean, things like, you know.
Google Forms.
Yes.
Sorry, Google Forms, it gives them a link. that
So we're
they
doing that.
click on and-
You know, we've also been recommended MailChimp. I don't know if anybody.
Yeah, it's much of a muchness
Yeah.
of how this goes out.
Recommended.
Survey Monkey is
Survey Monkey.
recommended.
Um,